UAP are airborne objects that, when encountered, cannot be immediately identified. With regard to the importance of transparency, the department is fully committed to the principle of openness and accountability to the American people.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh my gosh, dude.
U.S. Navy personnel recorded what appears to be triangles, some flashing. The video was taken through night vision goggles with a single lens reflex camera.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty high-profile incident. I don't claim to be an expert. You're the guys investigating it. I mean, who else is doing it?
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to UFO We Want to Know. Today is June 15th, and 2024, and I hope that you're having a good evening. Before I begin, as I always do, this is dedicated to those who have been ridiculed, made fun of, and laughed at for the last 76 plus years. You know, it's interesting that I say that all the time because just recently on some of these videos I've been watching, you hear a lot of that about vindication, and a lot of these people who have passed on that were never vindicated during their lifetime. And some mainstream scientists even acknowledge the fact that in those days it was us, the crazy people, that had to prove what we were saying was true. And today the government has to prove that that what they're saying is true, and we all know it's not, because I catch craft flying all around Pahrump, Nevada every single day, and today's show is no different. You're going to see craft flying all around, not only you'll be able to see the tip of my home, but to the east and west of my property. I've caught UFOs, and on the very, very last UFO, you're going to see a gray saucer coming down, and it goes right over my home. Now, I know that particular one, the UFO is very close to me, because usually I get a black streak or a white streak. This was a gray object, silver, if you will. But nonetheless, this craft went flying over my house, and you'll be able to see that it's on the last one, so I'm just trying to keep you in suspense. So let's go over the first video. I have 2 videos and 12 photos to show you. This one here, again, my house, you're probably sick and seeing the top of my roof of my home, but there's a point to be made here. These UFOs are in this particular area. As I said before in other videos, that this has to be some kind of flight path for UFOs, because I get so many of them. Now, in recent months, I've had people say, well, Joseph, that has to be a helicopter. But I'm going to be showing you in an upcoming video today that a UFO came flying in, and it did a loop-to-loop, and you'll see it in front of your eyes. We had to slow it down as we did this one here. All these videos are slowed down anywhere from 50% to 95% today. And I got to tell you that it's just mind-boggling to see them do these fantastic maneuvers, whereas a spacecraft, a jet fighter or a helicopter would not be able to handle the G's that these craft were doing. As you can see, this one here is just going so fast, we had to slow it down. Now, my technical director always asks me, do you want me to slow it down 50, 60, 90%, whatever. It's a judgment call, because of the fact that sometimes these craft actually disappear in front of your eyes. And no matter how slow that we slow these craft down, the video down, the craft still seem to defy logic as far as what our supersonic jets can do today. And if we had our jets flying over Pahrump, Nevada, going as fast as these objects, you would definitely hear the roar of the jets and their afterburners, because these craft are flying that fast. After this loop here, we'll go to the first photo, and I'll show you where it was at. And that's a far view. Now, when you saw the video, we actually zoomed in on it. so you can actually see the craft. That's how far this was. I'm about 15 feet away from my home when I'm pointing up at nearly a 45-degree angle to videotape. And this is what this craft, this is where it was at. Plainly seen an object coming down. And what I did was I went immediately to my software because I wanted to see if I could maybe get some colorization out of it. And I was able to do that. As you can see when it comes in, this particular UFO, I kind of named it the diamond because it resembled a diamond to me, a lot of little cuts. But nonetheless, this object, and I tried to use different software on it, pushing back. These were not reversed. I tried some other software and I didn't like it, so I went back to the other one, and then I actually blew it up, and this is the final analysis right here. But, you know, if you look closely, you'll see a bluish haze all around this craft right here. The inside center, you had a lot of really light areas, and then you had some kind of a mauve area, and then you had the blue area. I believe the blue is plasma. And at the same time, as I was listening to these videos, as I was saying in the beginning, the scientists are coming out with some really interesting wording when it comes to electromagnetic charge, electric pulsating charge, EMP. They're coming up with all these different scenarios, just like I do when I talk every week about what the possibility is. And now you're starting to hear these scientists say the same thing. Now, I'm not saying they're copying me or watching the show. All I'm saying is they're coming to the realization that these craft are being using propulsion in a manner that we're not knowledgeable about. Now, I'm not saying the mainstream people are ignorant to the fact. You know, we don't have a downed craft in our backyard that we can study. But I know for a fact that the government knows exactly what kind of propulsion system they're using. I know that they're using gravity amplifiers, and they point the gravity amplifiers to which direction they want the ship to go. They fly in belly-up position. These craft fly so fast that we don't see it. Let's go on to the next video. And again, the tip of my house, but here comes another UFO. As I said before, you're probably going to get tired of seeing my house, but if you want to catch UFOs in Pahrump, ladies and gentlemen, this is the place to catch them, because I'm seeing them every day. Now, we had to slow this thing down because it kind of went forward and then stopped, went forward and then stopped. It's kind of like a chucking movement. And so I told my director, let's just do it. Give it maybe an inch or two on the television screen. That way you can actually see it. Now, if this was a helicopter, believe me, ladies and gentlemen, I would see rotor blades because this craft is not that far away from me. It's interesting that, you know, I talk to people all the time about these craft, and the people tell me, well, you know, could it be this? Could it be that? Or maybe it's just the optics you have. And I said, no, they're there because they do these maneuvers that can't be done with conventional aircraft. This was taken on May 20th at 1:09 p.m. After this loop, we can go ahead and go to the picture. And you can see what I did was I actually didn't show the birds up in the upper right. There was two birds flying from, it would be from east to west. And they were flying over when this object was flying over my home. So I discounted the birds, but I wanted to show you in the picture that there was two birds flying up there. And they were flying very, very slow. Believe it or not, they're right over the birds are right over my tree line. You can see down there to the right, bottom right, that's my tree line. The birds were flying right over that. There are a lot of these pine trees all over the neighborhoods. and they seem to like to nest in them. And these birds were flying over when this UFO was there, but I looked at the birds at first, and you can actually see them flapping their wings. Concentrating on the UFO itself. There's the center part. And what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to give you too many of these, just the dots. I'm trying to bring them in as close as I can. And what I try to do is I try to give you a video and then 6 photos from the very beginning, far off view of it, which would be the original position I took. And then I try to bring it in a little bit. Again, I try to use colorization to bring out the points of the craft. These craft are emitting some kind of electrical magnetic field around it as we get in closer to it. And I think this is kind of interesting because this UFO, like so many that I've shown you, it seems to have a pattern, like a screen pattern to it. And here I'm showing you the birds going across. And just to let you know, the birds were a lot closer than that object. And this object, like I said, was just kind of stationary. And I'm wondering, could that object just been a probe? Because I noticed the probes have a tendency of not moving very fast. If they're not moving in a straight line, they're moving in a circular kind of a position where they're kind of rotating, staying in one position. And then they'll either go, but they'll go real slow. They won't go very fast. And even if I play the video and I speed it up on purpose, you can still see it. They're not moving that fast. And I know that they're not conventional craft because I can't hear anything when I'm out there. And I make it a point when I'm videotaping to listen to my surroundings. But it's interesting. Let me know what you think on UFO We Want to Know at gmail.com. We'll be back after this message.
Hi, I'm Joseph, the host and creator of UFO We Want to Know. Tune in every Saturday evening on KPVM Pahrump channel 25.1 from 7 p.m. You'll see never-before-viewed videos and photos taken by myself, all over the world.
Thank you for watching. UFO We Want to Know, and remember, yes, they are out there.
Thank you for staying with us. On this segment, we have 2 videos and 20 photos to show you. As I was pointing out the last session, I talked about scientists and what they're saying, and as I go through today's video, I'll explain a lot of the stuff that they're saying, and I thought it was extremely interesting that they're coming over to our side, as I call it. They're starting to sound like human beings again. And if that's not vindication to some, I hope it at least to, from what I'm hearing from people, it seems like a lot of people think that scientists are coming around to the other side now, and they're not sticking with what the government tells them to say, because a lot of them are connected to institutions such as universities or laboratories, and they're coming out and they're saying things. And I don't have to name them, you can see them, they're all over the internet. But I find that interesting. So let's go on to the first video of this session. On this one here, you're going to see it. Now this craft here, you can't see, you can barely see a little bit of the tip of my home, lower right. But for the most part, this craft was going quite fast, and it was giving off a lot of an electromagnetic charge as it was going over the sky. You can see it seems to go light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. That's the electrical charge it's giving off. And because we're slowing it down at 95% here, if you saw this on regular time, you wouldn't see this craft going over the sky. I can guarantee it because I showed it on my own. I let it play, and I couldn't find it. The only way I found this by accident is I had stopped the video to get a drink, and there it was, right nearly in the middle of the screen. And at first I thought it was something on my phone, and I looked down and looked at the timer on it, and I realized by moving the timer, it moved. So I said, well, there's a UFO. But look at this thing traverse, and you know, I've seen videos almost similar to this taken overseas, and they said, look at, they're flashing their headlights at us. Well, they're not flashing the headlights, that's the electromagnetic charge. And again, as I said in the last segment, these craft are using gravity amplifiers to propel themselves through the atmosphere here. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and here's an interesting point. I heard a scientist say nearly the same thing I was saying, that they go through our atmosphere and they don't believe that they're actually touching our atmosphere. That's the first time I ever heard anybody else say that. And even though this scientist, they named him, he said the study is still ongoing though. So after this, we can go to the first photo. And there's where I caught it. Look how far away he is, you know, compared to what you saw, because again, we zeroed in on the video. I always have to tell you that because I want you to understand that without zeroing in on the video, you're not going to get to see what I want you to see. As you can see, as we get closer to this, I've got 5 photos I'm going to show you besides this one here. You're going to see this getting closer and closer. Look at the flash. Now, when I stop motion this one on purpose so you can see the actual flash. This one was giving up a lot of electromagnetic charge. And I've said this before. If you look at the video, he was kind of arcing down a little bit, which means that the gravity amplifiers were giving off that discharge. That's my assessment on this. Okay, I'm not a scientist, I've said that before, but I've got to tell you that I listen to a lot of scientists out there, and I give them credit because they're at least saying it, you know, versus these past scientists and past directors of these programs that supposedly are looking for UFOs. They just can't seem to come out and say, well, it could be giving off some kind of electromagnetic charge or some kind of plasma charge. They can't say it. I don't think it's in their DNA to say it, or it's not in their paycheck to say it. And I know some people say, well, you shouldn't make fun of them because they got to make a living. Sure, but when you lie to the American taxpayer, that's where I draw the line. And say what you will, I'm for the American taxpayer. I'm not for the government expenditure that they can spend money because it's there. That's not what taxpayers' dollars are for. It's there for constructive uses. And so I'll always be for the American taxpayer. And for that, I will not drop that in any of my shows. Let's go on to the next video. Again, we're talking about UFOs. Now, this is an interesting one. This is across my street. To the right, bottom right, that's my flagpole. But there's a UFO that kind of came down. He went behind that tree there, the little tree, to the left of my flagpole. But here's the interesting thing. I talked to a couple of people in the studio here, and I told them I went to that neighborhood behind where that tree's at, and there's a vacant lot there. And I picked up a stick that was burnt, and it was only burnt on one side. And the argument was that, you know, how can a stick get burnt on just on one side? It wasn't just a little burn; the whole stick was burned on one side. So that stick had to have been in a fire or something heated it up only on one side because it was buried. I took it out of the ground and left a little indentation to the ground. Now, I'm not saying that spaceship burnt that. What I'm saying is I thought it was kind of odd that I would find a stick burnt like that, only on one side. There was actually 2 sticks here, a smaller one, and I left it there. So if I have to go back, I can prove it, where it was at, where I found the bigger stick. But take a look at this. And what I did is I took 2 stop motions on it, and I'll be showing this, after we show you the video. But this craft was coming down. Now, this isn't an insect here, ladies and gentlemen, because that tree right there is a block away from me. It's a city block away. It's on the other side. I'm just showing you raw footage here of something that came down and was behind that tree. So what I did was I drove around that block, and I lined that tree to my home, and it was at a vacant field. And I've got all the information on where this house, the vacant field, is at. It's got an address, so evidently there was a house there at one time, because it's got a mailbox there, but no home. So after this, we can go ahead and see what we took a look at. There it is. Look how far away it is. So that can't be an insect. It sure wasn't a bird, no, as fast as it was flying down. Just goes to show you, these craft can come down at incredible speed and then stop on a dime. What do we call that here on Earth? We call it inertia. If we tried that, it would be one heck of an explosion. There would be a fireball back there if we had any kind of device that could do that. This object was obviously large, and I'll tell you why I think it was large, is because of the nucleus of the craft itself. And as we go through the photos, I'll show you that. So after this, we'll go closer and closer. I got 2 views of it. There's that tree. You can see the object. I'm using different software, try to give you a different view of it. But this particular object, as I said, had a nucleus in it. See the dark area there? As it seems to get closer and closer to the ground, because I took a second one higher, and I'll show you that one afterwards, it was a different color. But as it came down, it was more purplish, like plasma. But on the other one, it was more reddish, and I'll show you that. That's when it was in the air. This is so interesting, because how does an object come down that fast and stop without crashing? There wasn't any crater when I went over there, no crater at all. So we know that it didn't crash. And I believe this is the last photo of it. Now, let's go ahead and show you when this craft was in the air. Okay, see how high it is? The other one was was near the bottom of the tree in the cloud area there. This was when it was in the air and it was coming down. Interesting that this craft here didn't make any noise either. The only noise you hear is maybe the flagpole whipping. That's about it. But you couldn't hear anything else. I don't have any metal pieces on the flagpole, so there's no dinging sound. As we get closer to this, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. It started to look kind of red. And at the end of this photo part here, I'm going to show you a side-by-side view of both shots, and I'll show you the difference here. You can start to see it forming. And then here's the different color here. Now, yeah, the background has been lightened, and that could change the color of it. But the interesting part is that the nucleus of it seemed to have changed. And you'll see that, like I said, at the last photo here that I have for you. Now, take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen, and tell me if this was a helicopter or an airplane or a jet. It's a UFO. It's not a bug. No bug flies that fast coming down. A bird would definitely die diving down. This was definitely a UFO. Side-by-side comparisons. take a look at the one on the right, and look at the nucleus, the dark area. It's facing kind of from left to right, down. The other one is straight up and down. And the one on the right was high in the air. The one on the left was low. As it was coming down, it straightened out, didn't it? But either way, you've got the same UFO, two different positions in the air. I think that is compelling to the fact that some people say they shapeshift or whatever they want to call it, but there it is for you. We'll be back after this message.
Hi, I'm Joseph, the host and creator of UFO We Want to Know. Tune in every Saturday evening on KPVM Pahrump Channel 25.1 from 7 p.m. You'll see never-before-viewed videos and photos taken by myself, all over the world.
Thank you for watching. UFO, we want to know and remember, yes, they are out there.
Thank you for staying with us. We have 2 videos and 12 photos to show you here. Again, UFOs in and on my property here in Pahrump, Nevada. I got to say that scientists can say what they will. Some scientists out there who claim there's nothing here to see. Each week on this show, I show you that there is something for you to see. And I'll keep saying it until I stop, but when that's going to be, I don't know. Like I said, we got 2 videos, so let's start with the video, the first one. We slowed this one down another 40%. Now I want to show you something. This particular UFO, it does a lot of erratic movements. It seems to be chucking through the area here. Now you notice that the UFO, you can see it speeding and slowing down, but I want you to see something here. If you can catch a full UFO, look at the loop he does, or he or she, whatever. Look at the loop it does. If you try to tell me this is a terrestrial craft, how does it do that? It looks like a laser pointer, doesn't it? It's an impossible move for any terrestrial craft to do that. Look at the loop. Look at the movements, the erratic movement. Scientists can study this all they want. All my videos are free, just for the asking. I'll give you the raw data. Now, this was obviously zoomed in because this was a very tiny, tiny object and it was far away. And I'll show you that on the first picture when we get to it. But I want you to see this UFO zipping along. Look at that loop. How do they do that? Again, like the last segment, it's inertia. That's what at least we call it here on Earth. We call it inertia because of the fact that a moving body such as this, if there was any human beings inside this craft, they would be smashed on the walls. So how are they doing it? I'm sure they have technology. They don't call it inertia, but it means the same thing to us and our little brains and the way we think. But I'm sure that they've conquered what we call inertia because you can't put it any other way. This maneuver is so erratic. And we'll go ahead and go to the first picture after this one here. You know, when we slowed it down, we had to slow the loop down because you couldn't see it in fast motion or regular motion. You couldn't really see it. It's only when you slow it down that you catch it. Now, you remember last week I said there was some kind of vortex in the area. Well, look where this was just coming out of that loop. But look at the sky up there. And you have a circular motion around the sky in the background there where this craft is now going up. But when it was doing the loop, it was near dead center of that circle there. And I find that really compelling because most people would think, well, you know, that could just be your video. But see, that's stop motion right there. It's not video, that's stop motion. Now, if you go back to the video, which we're not going to do, but if you go back to the video and you watch it on your player at home, you can actually see movement within that UFO. You'll see in the background that the sky seems to be circulating. And again, if it's a vortex, some kind of weather phenomenon, as I said before, I'm not a weatherman, so I don't know. But all I can say is that this craft was in that circle when it was doing the loop. So I'm just throwing that out to you for anybody who's interested in seeing that. As we get closer and closer, you're going to start seeing a little bit of color. I used the computer filtering system on it. And you remember this was going loop to loop, and then it was going up. Now I took the stop motion when this object was starting to go up. And as you can see, there's a pointed edge in the bottom. But nonetheless, it was going up. You remember I told you the gravity amplifiers are pointing, if they're pointing up, it doesn't matter if it's aerodynamic or not, it doesn't factor in. These craft can fly with a blunt area facing the way it's going. That's the closest up view I have of it, and kind of looks like an asteroid, doesn't it? With craters, but this is a UFO doing its movements, and as fantastic as they were, these craft can do this kind of maneuverability, which we don't have here on Earth. If we do, they're unknown to us, average Joe out here. But I thought that was quite interesting. This one was taken on May 20th, 2024 at 1:08 p.m. And we can go on to the next video. And we're showing you again craft that are maneuvering, traversing our atmosphere. And these craft, make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, these craft are in our atmosphere. You can see here when he starts coming down. On my video, it started about 50, I believe it was 22 seconds. In the sky. We shortened it. We went right to it. It only lasted 5 seconds. So we had to slow it down. Now, as you slow down the video even more, you get more time. As you can see that him skirting across the sky there. He was moving along at a very good pace. We slowed this down 95%, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. 95%. This was taken on May 18th, 2024 at 12:07 p.m. So scientists can explain to me how if a craft is not in our atmosphere, why is it on this side of the clouds? There's the question of the day. If it is not in our atmosphere, why is it on this side of the clouds? If it was in outer space, you wouldn't be able to see it. But fortunately for me, this was a cloudy day in Pahrump, and I was able to catch this craft. Now, whether or not scientists want to go that route, I'm sure they're not going to. I was facing east towards the Las Vegas area. So if I had to guess, this was probably over Red Rock, if I had to guess. And I've had many, many photos and videos of Red Rock where I've captured craft. And a lot of them were facing towards Pahrump from my position in Red Rock Canyon. But I thought this was quite interesting, and if you see other videos similar to this where people are showing something going across, you usually hear people using the F word and all these words that we really shouldn't be using on the air. and because they're quite amazed. And some people, when they see something they can't explain, their brain kind of goes to mush. Now, if you notice, when this craft is traversing the atmosphere, it makes some erratic moves up and down, almost stop motion. But if I was to slow this down even more, you would see even more erratic movement. But because of the propulsion system that they're using, I am sure that it interferes with our optics. And I'm not using high-resolution cameras. I'm using a cell phone. I'm using a cell phone with 200 megapixels, but at the same time, it is a cell phone. It's not a photographer's camera. And I point that out for a reason. The phones nowadays put out very good optics. They take very good pictures, very crisp. I can take a picture of a bird that's 50 yards away, and I'll get a crisp picture of it. But we're talking about UFOs here, flying at tremendous speeds. And if you take into account that they're in motion versus say a bird in flight, where they don't go real fast, unless you're talking about a hummingbird, you may catch something that's really sharp and crisp. These craft here, as so many people have complained over the years, well, why is it they're always blurry? Why is it that you can't get a solid picture? You have to understand something, and I'll make this very clear as I can. They're not touching our atmosphere. That's one. Two, they're not using jet fuel, fossil fuel. They're not using that to propel themselves, where they, as one scientist said, they pour dirt into an engine and they shoot it out the rear end. They're not doing that, okay? They're using a high form of propulsion to propel themselves through our atmosphere without touching it, okay? They're going through our atmosphere without touching it. Now, I would like to ask any scientists out there if they think that this is something else. I'd be more than happy to answer their question, show them any raw data they would like to see, and give them my assessment of it. You know, after looking at thousands and thousands of videos and photos, I can honestly say that if a scientist was to tell me, well, what you're seeing is this or that, and I don't agree with them, I'll let them know that what they're saying to me is a bunch of garbage. And I have no problem telling any scientist, I don't care how many PhDs they have, that's not an important factor for me, because their PhDs were for the science that they went to school for, and they certainly didn't go to school to learn about UFOs. I can guarantee you that. If you have any questions, please write me at UFOWeWantToKnow@gmail.com and give me your assessment of it. Let me know what you think it is. I'll contact you back and I'll give you my answer on it. I enjoy all the questions and answers I get, and no question's stupid. They're all interesting to me. We'll be back right after this message. Please stay with us for the last segment.
Hi, I'm Joseph, the host and creator of UFO We Want to Know. Tune in every Saturday evening on KPVM Pahrump Channel 25.1 from 7 p.m. You'll see never-before-viewed videos and photos taken by myself, all over the world.
Thank you for watching. UFO, we want to know and remember, yes, they are out there.
Thank you for staying with us for the last segment. I think you'll find this one interesting, as I hope you find all the videos and photos interesting. Let's get on with the first video so we can get through them all. We got 2 videos and 22 photos to show you. Here we got these 2 UFOs. They actually cross paths. As you can see, one going up and one going down. And interesting enough, there's some kind of communication, because these craft are too close. As fast as they're flying, we slowed this video down, I believe 75%, 80%, and they were still leaving entrails, as you can see. How do these craft communicate? That's another question. Now, some scientists believe that they use some kind of headgear when they're traversing with these craft, and they're controlling these craft with their minds. They're not controlling them by hand movement, even though they may have their hands on a panel. They're not moving anything. They seem to be using their brain power with a harness, and it goes down to their arms, into their fingers, and that controls the craft. And I've said this before, I don't think these craft are built. I believe they're grown. I believe they're like a flower. They're biological. And the reason why I say that is because many people who witnessed these craft have come out and said, they were whistleblowers, they come out and said that we couldn't find a seam, we couldn't find an opening or a closing, we couldn't find windows that showed you where it went in or in, out, up or down. We couldn't find anything. We couldn't find corners. We couldn't find sharp points. It was smooth like cold aluminum. Again, I'm assuming, because I haven't had one in my possession, so I don't know. I'm telling you what people have said. I'm talking about whistleblowers. But take a look at that. How can they go by so fast without hitting each other? And maybe some of them have hit each other, and that's where we get these crash retrievals. Video I was watching just yesterday, the count was 112 crash retrievals that the U.S. has taken hold of. So whether that's true or not, who knows? That video was taken a month ago. So after this, we'll go to the first photo. And there's the one on the top. This UFO was, as I said, going so fast. And I want to make a point here as we get closer and closer to it. This is the one that was coming down. Take a look at the bottom edge of it. We're not talking about aerodynamics here, are we? A lot of fuzziness. The reason being, it was a very, very cloudy day. A lot of dark in the area. This craft was dark itself, unlike the light ones that we see in so many of the ones over my house. It seemed to have a nucleus inside of it. You can see it like an arrowhead shape, facing, looks like to the bottom right of it. It looks like an arrowhead shape, but again, it wasn't using the sharpest point to make its point of entry. It seems to be using the blunt end. Again, gravity amplifiers playing part in this. Next one is the second one where they came together. And that's interesting because when I was doing the stop motion on it, I could have made it a lot closer where they looked like they were actually going to hit, but I wanted you to see the two UFOs themselves separated. That was important for me to do that. And these craft were, as I said, were traveling quite fast, and again, we had to slow it down. You'll notice this craft here, this is the one that was going up. I'm going to concentrate on that one next as we zoom in on it. But take a look at the one on the bottom. It's giving off a lot of electromagnetic charge compared to the one on the top. And there it is right there. This object was shaped more like a cube than it was an arrowhead shape. But nonetheless, these were the two craft that are up there. This goes to show you that they're different. If they're manufactured, if they're grown differently, they don't all have the same shape. Like a car dealership, different models. You tell me what you think at UFOWeWantToKnow@gmail.com. You can contact me, or you can look at my other videos and you can comment there. Simply going to YouTube and type in Pahrump Alien Guy, and you can see all my past videos and you can comment on those. I've had a gentleman ask me last week, why are your comments turned off? There's nothing I can do about that. I don't have the power to demand them to turn it on. That's just what the policy is. But on the Pahrump alien guy, they're turned on. That's my channel. So if you want to ask me questions, please get in contact with me. Hit the like button and also subscribe, and you'll get all the updated information that I post. Here's the next video, and this one here, streaking across. This is the one I was telling you about in the first session. This UFO was very close to the house, and the reason why I say that is because it's gray in color. It's giving off a lot of electromagnetic charge on top and on the bottom. If you take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen, we slowed this down 90%. Look how fast this was going. Now, just to let you know, for the first time, this video was seen about 3 weeks ago, but the UFOs were on the top, on the very top of the video. And I caught this while I was watching TV. I always critique my shows. And I caught this going by, and I said, what is that? Why did I miss that? It's obvious. But what I did was I zoomed in on this. You'll see the first picture, how far away it is, but it wasn't that far from this property, because usually I'll get a dark or I'll get a light object. Take a look at this. This was a gray colored object. And when I did stop motion, you can clearly see it. This is a flying saucer. A flying saucer. No other way to say it. This was taken on May 17th at 3:24 p.m. 3:24 p.m. on May 17th. Look at it give off all this electromagnetic charge. Now, he wasn't coming, he wasn't landing down or anything. What they do is they seem to be going in this trajectory, and then they kind of like level off, and they're heading west from my position. And as they head out west, I've caught some facing west, and they seem to be going out towards California from my position. But you tell me what you think this is. It sort of isn't a firefly. It's much too large and too far away. This is a UFO giving off electromagnetic charge and possibly plasma charge. So after this, we'll go to the first photo, and it is stop motion of it where I took it, where I stopped it, so you can actually see the design and shape of it. What does that look like to you, ladies and gentlemen? That is the iconic flying saucer. The iconic flying saucer. No other way to say it. As we get closer to it, you're going to see the shape to it. Now, I took this on purpose, this particular stop motion. I took it so there was no flash. I want you to just see the craft itself. It took me a long time. As we get closer, you'll see what I'm talking about. Look at the shape of this craft. It's gray in color. Usually, as I said, I get white or black. This is not white or black, it's gray. Like they always say, it was brushed aluminum. Now, as you notice, there's some light area on the top. This was just before it started to give off that electromagnetic charge, where it started to flash. This particular shot right here, it shows it before it started to come away from the craft itself. And it flashed on the top and the bottom, both. But what I was able to do, and it took me a long time to do it because, remember, I'm doing this on a cell phone. I have to do stop motion, and then I try to get it, a photo of it where it doesn't flash at all. And that's very hard to do when you're playing with a phone. So I had to use the stylus to get it done. My finger evidently is too fat to hit it when I'm supposed to hit it. But this is what I got, and this is the last photo of it. Now, this is when it left this from the second stop motion, and you can actually see that it started to flash here. The electromagnetic charge, you can actually see it. As we get closer to it, you're going to see the flash from the back end of it. It didn't change shape. It was just moving so fast that there's a lot of distortion there, and I'll admit that there is some distortion there. This was a split second from the previous stop motion photo. A split second. It was going too fast. I couldn't stop it. Now, if with high resolution cameras, you know, take maybe 500 per frame, 500 per frame a second, yeah, you're going to get a really good shot of it. But again, I'm using a cell phone, so this is the best I can do. But take a look at that as it was traversing towards the area it was going west. It seemed to give off a charge. You can see the saucer to the bottom left of it, and that's the electromagnetic charge leaving kind of a shape in itself behind it. And this is the last shot of it. And again, you can see the saucer and then the remnants of it in the back. And that's how fast it was going to leave electromagnetic charge after the craft. That concludes my show, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, I'd like to talk about a special lady and her business. So if you are interested, when I go to my shows, sometimes I have these pins with me, and people have asked me about them. This is from Bay Boutique. Great custom pins and keychains. Call order if you want to order something, 702-715-9483. They make UFO, we want to know, official pins and keychains. It's a small business in Pahrump. Please help our small businesses here in Pahrump. That's the only way we're ever going to grow if we don't support each other. For those of you who are out in Vegas and Henderson and other places, if you're visiting Pahrump, please visit our shops here. They're there for you. I want to thank you for joining me this week, and I hope to see you next week. Take care.
Hi, I'm Joseph, the host and creator of UFO We Want to Know. Tune in every Saturday evening on KPVM Pahrump Channel 25.1 from 7 p.m. You'll see never-before-viewed videos and photos taken by myself, all over the world.
Thank you for watching. UFO, we want to know and remember, yes, they are out there.